Hey, what is going on, my guy? It is the NWA North American Heavyweight Champion. That's my new moniker for every single episode. It's Nick, bringing you the Fightful Wrestling Weekly, brought to you by the fine folks over at Fightful.com. Joining me to my right, you're on my right, I hope, is Tim. Tim, how are you doing, my guy?
Other side.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Doing good here. Another week of podcasts, another week of Fightful Wrestling Weekly.
It's been an interesting week for wrestling, for news, for emotions. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with one of the biggest news. Now I'm just going to say a phrase, and I want you to tell me what you think, okay?
Okay. Uh-oh.
Ba went to ba to bang, diggy, 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 said the boogie, said up, jump the boogie. Yeah, I did that right. If you thought Kid Rock, you'd be correct. And if you thought Kid Rock is in the WWE Hall of Fame, unfortunately, you'd be correct. His picture looks so bad. It looks like a mix of Enzo and Michael Hayes.
Oh, the one with like the American flag scarf or whatever? Yeah.
But he is the newest inductee into the 2018 Hall of Fame. So, Tim, why don't you tell us what Sean wrote over on the website?
All right, so in this week's Fightful Wrestling Weekly, Sean writes the following. Much was made about this year's WWE Celebrity Wing Hall of Fame inductee of Kid Rock. There are always the discussions of how did this person get in before this person among fans, but WWE doesn't generally operate in that manner. They have their standard template, a living headliner, a deceased wrestler, a woman, an African-American, a tag team, and now a warrior and the legacy inductees. Which legacy inductees, I don't even know I know they did 2 years ago. Did they even do it last year? Anyways.
I don't think they did.
Generally, WWE likes to ensure these first before moving to something else. When I asked those in the know about why there wasn't a Celebrity Wing inductee last year, I was told that there was consideration given to doing away with it due to some of the negative reactions to the previous inductees.
Who was the last celebrity inductee?
I know 31 was Schwarzenegger. I remember that fondly, since I was there at WrestleMania 31. And they did the whole Terminator entrance to Triple H. And I believe 32 was Snoop, because he did Sasha's entrance.
Ooh, it's the Snoop D-O double G. I love Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, because I know you're watching.
Oh, okay.
Hit me up, my guy. But, yeah, Kid Rock, congratulations on your induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. He did have a lot to do with wrestling.
That's what I'm saying.
At Raw, performed at Mania, did the theme song to the one of Undertaker's many theme songs, the American Badass.
Short-lived, though, because he quickly switched over to Limp Bizkit.
He switched over to Limp Bizkit, and then he went to a different one, just Jim Johnston.
Was it? I thought he was Limp Bizkit until he did his little, Survivor Series 2002 thing, Buried Alive, and then came back as the dead man at WrestleMania.
Which one was
Survivor Series 2003.
Which one was You Done It Now?
Oh, yeah.
That may have
been after Rollin'. You're right.
Yeah. That was either before or after Rollin', but
I think it went from American Badass to Rollin' to the You Done It Now. You're right.
So, congratulations, Kid Rock. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
And Kid Rock,
yeah.
Most people probably don't even realize Kid Rock's got the WrestleMania theme song this year.
Really? What is it?
It's that New Orleans. It's a song about New Orleans.
Oh,
I don't know the name, but it's about New Orleans, and so it just fits perfectly. And then coincidentally, Kid Rock's going in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, congratulations, the dude. People like his music. There's people out there that really like that music.
Oh yeah, no. I think he does have some good songs. I mean,
he has ability, and I can really appreciate. All Summer Long is a great song.
I mean, you got to look at it. He can do that hardcore rock stuff with like Ball with the Ball and Cowboy and all that. But then he
Ball with the Ball.
My bad. But then he can actually like sing like in All Summer Long, and what's the other one that he's got a newer song that's actually on country radio. I can't remember the name of it though.
He goes from like hip hop to country to rock to.
And he can. What people don't realize, they just think, oh, it's that guy that screams a lot. Bah, what the bah, the bang. No, he can actually sing.
Yeah. So. Sean loves him. Sean Ross Sapp loves him. What I recommend you guys do is actually tweet at Sean Ross Sapp your favorite Kid Rock song. Go tweet him your favorite Kid Rock song. He's going to love it. He wants suggestions. Speaking of Sean Ross Sapp, he did a bit of an interview. And Tim, why don't you tell us about that interview?
So Sean recently interviewed Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling star Taya Valkyrie. And in the clip we're going to show you from the interview, it's about Taya and her comparisons on doing tapings with NXT. No, not tapings with NXT. Tapings with Impact Wrestling. Why did I say NXT?
Big difference, my guy.
And tapings with Lucha Underground and the differences. So let's hear what Taya had to say.
Let's take a listen.
I really wanted to hear the process of the Lucha Underground Impact partnership kind of coming about, because a couple of years ago, that was definitely not the case. There was a pretty public issue with Hernandez. But now you have the ability and do work for both Impact and Lucha Underground. So maybe kind of walk me through your reaction to hearing that news and how the process for you to work both started.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely not an option a few years ago because we were very exclusively signed to Lucha Underground. But there was a long period of downtime between season 3 and season 4, where I think a lot of people got a little antsy and, where we were all just really looking to keep working. We wanted to keep moving forward with our careers and with our lives and things. And I had known Karen and Jeff Jarrett for years because they would come down to Mexico all the time and work for AAA. And they had always asked me to come and work for Impact, and I just didn't have the opportunity to. So when they asked me and John again, and all of a sudden when we asked if we could go do this, the answer wasn't no anymore. It was just like this crazy moment. You're like, oh my gosh, this is really going to happen. It was a long time coming. I was wanting to, work with them for so long, and Karen and Jeff were just so gracious in allowing us to start working there with them and being involved with Impact. And I just knew that I wanted to keep my characters separate and really just bring something different to that Knockouts division. So I'm just so blessed that I'm able to do both. And now I'm, the only woman on either roster that's, involved on 2 different television series at the same time. So it's really cool.
You have worked with both Rosemary and Sexy Star in the past, and I know this situation is a little older, but what were your feelings about how that went down, and have you spoken to either of them about that situation since it did go down?
Yeah, this happened last August. Mm-hmm. I think I've been I said what I had to say when it first happened. I had worked with, wrestled with Rosemary about 2 weeks before that went down. And that was my first experience with her in a ring, and she's nothing but class. And so when that happened, I was like I've said, I was just really disappointed. We're trying to make strides in women's wrestling, and sometimes I think we're each other's worst enemies. Sometimes, it was just a really shitty situation that was, I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt in that way. We're athletes, and we need each other as dance partners. I can't wrestle by myself. Rosemary can't wrestle by herself. Sexy Star can't wrestle by herself. So we have to have a level of trust in each other that's so huge to just even get in the ring and face one another. So I just felt really disappointed. And obviously I've spoken to Rosemary since then. I have not spoken to Sexy Star at all. But I think everyone's moved forward from that. And I think that, we just have to remember that we don't want that to happen again. And no one ever wants to see someone that's, get hurt like that. It's not cool. That's pretty much all I can say about it.
And if you do want to listen to the full interview, you can head over to Fightful.com and listen to that full exciting interview. Now, Sean Ross Sapp did an article about one of my favorite things going on in WWE at the moment in 205 Live. Tim, why don't you tell him what that was about?
All right, so Sean wrote the following. There is a continued effort to put an emphasis on 205 Live. The tone with those I've spoken to over the last year, whether it be wrestlers, former wrestlers, or backstage workers for WWE, has always remained the same, and the company wants to produce a good show with intriguing talent. to WWE's credit. If anyone that they'd planned to have on 205 Live would have stuck around or not got into trouble, they'd still have Neville, Rich Swann, Austin Aries, and Enzo Amore. There's also, they're also doing without Noam Dar and Brian Kendrick due to injuries, which are huge losses but still affect the roster. He closes it out here with saying, I was told that multiple big-name talent from the WWE roster have offered to make cameo appearances on the show in an effort to increase the profile of the program, but we weren't told of any specific names. A decision was recently made to omit cruiserweights from the Raw brand for the time being to establish 205 Live as more of an individual brand instead of a sub-brand of Monday Night Raw. And we have seen over the last year or so, we did see when Rich Swann did some stuff on 205 Live with Sasha Banks. We did see the Cedric Alexander Goldust stuff. So
now I'm going to cut you off here.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go on a little thing. I absolutely love 205 Live. I've loved it from the start, and I will continue to love it then. I was one of those people that always thought, man, 205 Live, it just needs that oomph, it just needs that kick, and it never got it. And I think once it left the Raw brand and people thought, well, I kind of liked watching these cruiserweights every Monday, I guess I could wait till tomorrow at 8 and just watch it on the network so I don't have to be at the arena. I could just, I could tune it on the network, I can watch a full show. And I think another good thing is I love the fact that there's guys and girls in the locker room that are saying, hey, I want to hop on 205 Live, give it some hype, give it some loudness. I mean, they did that thing where, excuse me, I've talked for so long that I ran out of saliva. They did that thing where they have Roderick Strong being the working man, working two brands. They even made a whole article on their own website about it. 205 Live is finally getting the respect it deserves from WWE, and it's starting to get it from the fans with just last week that match between Cedric Alexander and Roderick Strong burning the house down. It was fantastic, and I loved it to death, and I think they're
great match.
Doing great with that. So props to the WWE guys for making sure everything's working out.
And not to correct you, but it was this week. It was this past week, not last week.
Yeah, okay, it was this past week. I'm in Florida. It's upside down here.
Oh, Lord.
I'm not in California. Everything's upside down.
It's called a time zone change, not a week zone change.
Me alone.
Anyways, I think the one issue, though, I have with 205 Live is when you think 205 Live and cruiserweights, what do you think of as far as wrestling style?
I think quick, fast-paced, and hard-hitting.
Okay. But don't we see more of that from guys like Seth Rollins on the regular roster? That's the thing.
I know that.
You'll watch 205 Live and you think, okay, like you said, hard-hitting, fast-paced, quick movement, and you also sometimes think high-flying. But you see Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Samoa Joe doing more dives to the outside and stuff in their matches than you do these cruiserweights, and that's one thing that I do think could be hindering 205 Live is they're wrestling more like heavyweights, and then the quote-unquote heavyweights are wrestling the cruiserweight style, and it's kind of ass backwards.
Yeah, and I understand that, and it makes sense. But what I want to throw at them is I think it's just going to be a slow build into saying more and more interesting things and moves and actions on 205 Live after WrestleMania. You have my word. The NWA North American Heavyweight Champion, his word that 205 Live will be everything that you hoped it would be, everything that I hoped it would be, and everything that Sean Ross Sapp hoped it would be right after Mania.
And there is the rumor of the Cruiserweight tag titles, and we have seen over the last couple of weeks they're establishing tag teams. We have what they call the Lucha House Party in Kalisto, Metalik, and Lince Dorado. And then for like 3 weeks now, we've seen Hideo Itami and Tozawa as a team.
And they've been putting random guys together at house shows. It's just going to be great. I promise you. Give it a chance. Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. Turn on the network. Give it a watch. You're going to love it. It's fantastic. I promise you.
Sure.
Now, folks, we're going to send you over to the List and Ya Boy, where they talk about the fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal and what Sean Ross Sapp thinks about it. So take a listen, you guys.
Let's talk about the fabulous Moolah controversy.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I got to be honest with you, Sean. I don't understand how this is a controversy.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let me explain myself. I understand her past. I understand it's, shall we say, checkered. I get that. I get that. The reason I don't understand how this controversy...
Blood spattered is
yeah,
what
whoa, hold on. The reason that I don't understand how this is a controversy is how have we not learned by now how Vince McMahon is? Have we not seen this 100 times before? He rewrites history the way that he sees fit. He glorifies whoever he wants to glorify. He made an award after the Ultimate Warrior called the Warrior Award that wasn't even based on anything that the Warrior himself wanted for an award. And he named it after the Ultimate Warrior, even though the Ultimate Warrior had a massively checkered past and said a lot of controversial things. JBL, who's one of the biggest bullies in the history of the business, always gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity and network special after network special because he's one of the notorious Vince McMahon ass kissers and laughs the loudest at every joke Vince ever says. So he gets every opportunity in the world. How is it this surprising to anybody that the Fabulous Moolah is getting a Battle Royal named after her? How is this controversial?
Well, I'll break this down as best I can. The Warrior thing, I can at least believe that is some sort of sick final troll on Jim Hellwig by Vince McMahon to take a guy like the Warrior who hated gay people and hated Middle Eastern people and apparently, for some reason, hated paralyzed people and cancer patients and gave an award to cancer patients and paralyzed people that was named after him as a troll. I believe that. However, the Moolah thing, it seemed like they had taken a step back from that in recent years since the notes about her and her past emerged. And that being said, those notes are that she would keep a ton of the money, would basically pimp out wrestlers, send them off to be raped, things of that nature. Some really, really sick shit. She was essentially like, you could have named it the Charles Wright Battle Royal, and I would have had more respect for it because at least he was upfront about his character. And he let women stay on top of him for more than 2.9 seconds before he kicked out, for the love of God. Fabulous Moolah sucks. She was never good. She intentionally would train women poorly so they couldn't show her up and get better bookings than her. She was just miserable all around, just a horrible, horrible person. Moolah's, it's gross. And I think that Sherry would have been a better choice, and I had somebody say, oh, well, she thanked Moolah in her speech. Yeah, I don't give a shit. That bummer, but Sherry, despite the way that she died, a drug overdose, she didn't have those accusations hanging over her. She didn't have the accusations of pimping people out.
Sherry was awesome. I told you, I spent a weekend with her. She was awesome.
Not only that, former WWF Women's Champion, AWA Women's Champion, managed several wrestlers, was a part of her reaction in the Booker T, the infamous Booker T Hulk Hogan clip, was enough for me. The way that she reacted, and she had to calm Booker T down.
Yeah, and pat him on the shoulder,
like, that's a pro. She's like, you got to calm yourself down. Let Stevie Ray get through this. It should have been her. I saw a lot of people saying it should be named after China. Couldn't disagree more. China, no, she didn't want to work with women. She didn't want to sell for women. Not only that, I don't care if China was a porn star. Make your money how you want in that regard. But when you film a scene that has a Vince McMahon character and a Stephanie McMahon character, and there is incest in that scene, and you're out there doing a bunch of sex scenes with WWE's IP, I get the feeling, maybe they don't want to do a battle royal after you.
How many times did you watch that movie for journalistic research purposes?
We were sent review copies. The company sent us review copies, and I was like, huh. And we did the sarcastic review of it. Now, that being said, with all that,
sarcastic review, Nigel. It was
it's
a sarcastic
still,
review.
Hey, listen. It was still nowhere near as funny as the Tammy Sitch one, and that didn't have any, there was no comedy intended in that one.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about the Fabulous Moolah, and I'm not defending her past and her reputation, a lot of the stuff is alleged. We got to say that. It's alleged. But The one thing I will say is that in the territorial days, so in the 80s and the 70s and earlier than that, when it came to women's wrestling, the Fabulous Moolah was the epicenter of women's wrestling. And back in the territorial days, if the promoters wanted to have a women's match on the show, they contacted the Fabulous Moolah.
Why? Yeah, if they wanted something else, they contacted the Fabulous Moolah too.
Perhaps, but I'm just saying.
Why the hell do you think she was so popular among promoters? She wouldn't train her women to do more than like hair pulling spots so often. So they wouldn't show her up. So they wouldn't take bookings from her. And, of course, when you're whoring off your wrestlers physically in more ways than one, you're going to be popular among promoters.
Sure, I'm just kind of telling the facts. I mean, when it comes to women's wrestling, she was the epicenter. Very much like Lord Littlebrook was the epicenter for little people wrestling back in the day. And oftentimes you went through him to get matches for that, and you went through Moolah for women's matches. So
Did Lord Littlebrook make Max Mini blow anybody?
I think technically Max Mini was the next generation.
Did he have Mini Vader out there turning tricks?
That was a different generation. Technically, that was a different generation. But anyway, we can move on. But again, when I heard about this Moolah stuff, again, I understand her checkered past and all the allegations that are coming out. But I don't understand the controversy just based on Vince McMahon's history of retelling history and of glorifying people that he chooses to glorify. So based on that, I don't understand the controversy, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm grossed out about it. Grossed out that they doubled down on it. They just name it something else. It's not hard. Did you all have a big ass statue made for it or something? Probably.
I bet you they will.
Well,
yeah.
Scrap it. Who wants that thing?
I bet they'll unveil it at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
So.
and Jeff Jarrett earned that Hall of Fame ring by cracking Moolah over the head with a guitar. So
You're really anti-Moolah today, aren't you?
yeah, I am. I am anti-sex trafficking. You'd be shocked to believe. I guess you learn something new every day about your employees.
And if you guys want to listen to the entirety of the list and ya boy, you can head over to Pro Wrestling Unlimited or Fightful.com and get your fix of List and ya boy. Now, Tim, what is our final subject?
We're going to talk about what Sean wrote here, WrestleMania Plans. He goes on to say, I do my best to not report storyline news because the risk versus the reward isn't generally worth it. I know that there's the cliche of plans change, but they do. Often, if one guy doesn't like the direction of things, he adjusts and changes the direction to his liking. That being said, I'm told that several of the quote-unquote rumored WrestleMania matches, as I write this on Monday, he says, are coming to fruition, and among those involved Dolph Ziggler, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. One wrestler that I talked to say that the departure of Austin Aries and later Neville after being put on the WrestleMania pre-show weighs on them now because of the lack of royalties associated with that spot, considering WWE doesn't include the pre-show matches on the DVD release for the show. Neville's and Aries were the first to make a public fuss about this, and with the show being so long and the roster being so big, it's going to affect a lot of the talent. Last year, Braun Strowman, Dean Ambrose, Sami Zayn, and other big names were also put on the pre-show, but this year, it's the topic being discussed more both behind the scenes and on camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that a guy like Braun Strowman was on the pre-show of a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Ambrose defended the IC title last year on the pre-show against Corbin.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Big Banter Corbin. I thought he had to win. But, yeah, no, I mean, everything with Mania is just, it looks predictable. It looks up in the air. It just looks confusing.
Kind of predictable. I'm still kind of confused on the direction they're going to go with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Shane McMahon. Why can't I say that name? Like, is it going to be a tag match? Is it going to be a triple threat? Is it just going to end up being the singles match? I think what's going to happen is they don't know. And so they announce the singles match, and if they don't figure something else out, they just go to the singles match. If they figure something out, then they change it up. And announcing the singles match now was just their safe way of saying, hey, we've announced the match. It can change.
Exactly. So there is a lot of speculation with Mania. So what I want to ask the lovely Fightful fans, the lovely PWU fans, anyone else listening to this, you lovely people, what would you like to see at WrestleMania? What is your WrestleMania card?
Ooh.
With that, I've been Nick. That has been Tim. You can follow me on Twitter at PWU_Armstrong. You can also follow us at Pro Wrestling Unlimited, whether he's here or over here. I don't know where Tim is, according to me. You can follow us at PW Unlimited on Twitter.
Also go over and find Fightful, Fightful.com. You can find them on Twitter at Fightful Online, Fightful MMA, Fightful Boxing, Fightful Wrestling, or just follow the great Sean Ross Sapp.
Let him know what your favorite Kid Rock songs are. I cannot stress this enough. You need to tell him your top Kid Rock song, and you need to send it to him on Twitter. Do it.
All right, so follow him. It is at Sean Ross Sapp. It's right here. I'm putting it on the screen. And wherever I'm pointing, I'm not pointing in the right spot. Right there.
All right, you guys.
Can also follow. Hey, you can also follow me on the other side. You can also follow me on Twitch and Twitter at Timmy Buddy. And as Nick always likes to forget, you can get Pro Wrestling Unlimited on Instagram.
Yes, you can. Just search up Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all have wonderful, wonderful weekends full of happiness. And we will see you guys next Friday.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.